Hey y'all, welcome back to this week's episode of AMA Friday with Amy Miller, Recruiting in Yoga Pants. So this week we're going to dig into what shouldn't be a contentious topic, but I have a feeling it will be. We'll see how it goes. Should you research your interviewers? Some say absolutely, some say don't bother. I'm going to tell you what I think, and I'm also going to share with you some specific reasons behind why it may not be helpful, not the area I'd be spending a lot of time on personally. I'll tell you why, but also just again, reiterating the importance of understanding how the companies you want to work for hire, because there may be companies where this matters. I see all the time, recruiters that are like, oh, I can't believe this person didn't research our company in great detail and read our financial statements and, follow our CEO and blah, blah, blah. I'm like, really? I ain't doing that shit. So, different expectations from different organizations. And your job, my friend, is to figure out how to navigate it. Navigating the interview process, absolutely, the responsibility for helping you understand how that works is 100% on the recruiter. The recruiter should be sharing those insights with you, should be telling you what matters during this interview process. And if it is that you need to know that Bob from accounting likes chocolate pudding, they should be telling you that. Okay, I'm sorry. I struggle with this. The reason why I personally don't like this idea around intensely researching your interviewers and learning all about them is because it leads to confirmation bias. If you're focusing on, we went to the same school, we both like Taco Bell, whatever, right? I know I'm being a little silly with this. Hopefully that's not the kind of research you're doing, but any of those things, even professionally, going back to, we went to the same school, we interned at the same company, we both worked with Jill in marketing, whatever. That's confirmation bias. That should not be part of the hiring process. We should be using the interview to uncover your strengths, skills, and superpowers and compare that to the requirements of the role. That is the purpose of the interview. That is why large companies, I know the companies I've worked for in the last 10 years won't share this, but a lot of large companies will actually not tell you your interviewer names. Not because they're trying to be difficult, not because they don't want you to know who you're meeting with. There's a couple of reasons. One reason is that sometimes the interviewer can change. I've done lots of last minute swaps, Joe had a urgent fire to put out. He couldn't do it, so Bob's gonna cover, or Sally called in sick today, so we gotta pull in Beth, or whatever. I just make up names. I don't know any of these people. But, hopefully you see where this is going. So if you've done all this research on people who end up not showing up, are you prepared? Are you going to pass the interview? Do you see what I mean? So that's number one. You may not even meet this person, depending on how scheduling shakes out. But secondly, each interviewer typically is going to have certain focus areas that they're covering, and that may or may not be super visible on their LinkedIn profile or on their social real estate that you're checking out. So for example, you're an electrical engineer and you're interviewing with an electrical engineer. They might dig into a very specific facet, like board design or something, right? And if they're not, a lot of engineers are not super active on LinkedIn, they may not be calling out that specialty or that specific area of expertise. So you wouldn't know just by researching the interviewer that that's the topic that's going to come up. So when you get in that call and you're prepared to talk about something unrelated that you learned about the interviewer, and they're over here digging into this technical area that you didn't really think about because you were too busy researching the interviewer, may not be the best outcome, right? So that's my thoughts on that. I personally, other than a quick understanding, which again, the recruiter can give you, a quick understanding of, who you're going to meet, if they can tell you what areas they're going to dig into, like what are the topics, what are the questions they might ask, what are the areas that I need to be prepared for, that kind of stuff is valuable. I also think it's helpful to know, am I ever going to see this person again? So I will actually cover that in my pre-interview kickoff, where I'll be like, okay, your interview's starting in 15 minutes. Let's quickly walk through the folks you're going to meet. So Bob's up first. He's the manager. You're going to report directly to him. Sally's next. She works on a partner team. You might have some cross-group collaboration with her, but she's not on your immediate team. Oh, and then we have, this guy, and he's your direct peer potentially. He also reports to Bob. So that kind of context I think is helpful. You're getting it like day of, you're getting it as you're getting ready to go into the interview, but it hopefully helps my candidates kind of visualize, okay, I'm going to work with this person. I'm actually going to partner with them, because I think that's important. I think that's the data that matters, because these are people you're going to spend 8+ hours a day with potentially, right? Hopefully you like them. Hopefully you can pick up some good vibes and like, yeah, I could learn from this person, or oh yeah, I could partner well with this person, right? Those are some of the things that we want to tease out through the interview process, of course, on the job seeker side, absolutely. But doing all this like intense research ahead of time and knowing their favorite cheese is absolutely irrelevant. That is why we just don't tell you who you're going to meet with. I know it runs counter to all of the influencer advice. What are we gonna do? I know this is frustrating. This is what you're gonna do. You're going to ask the recruiter. I will tell you exactly what I just said in this video. I'm going to explain to you why it doesn't matter. Interview might change. The focus areas have nothing to do with this person's background or any possible connection you might have. The interviewer's job is to gather data. Okay, focus on preparing for that part of the interview. Now here comes the big old caveat. Sadly, and I don't like this, it'd be one of the first things I would attack if I ever go work for a small company or a startup and I get to revamp recruiting. That might be my dream job next. I want to come in and fix recruiting. I want to build recruiting. If any founders are out there like, I'm ready to start recruiting and I need to hire somebody who can like come in and kick my ass and make sure we do it right. Hi. Okay, I'm not looking, but I'm just saying. Girls gotta eat, okay? Keep me in mind. But in all seriousness, there are smaller companies. There are going to be, maybe it's a small, close-knit, family-owned company. So there is any number of reasons why this could happen. But there will be those circumstances where that interview prep or that like bias or that confirmation bias is a real thing. I don't like it. Again, I'm telling you, that'd be one of the first things I'd be like, nope, not doing that. Strike. Let's get that out of your vernacular quick. But your recruiter should be able to walk you through that. The recruiter should be able to say, here's what really successful interviews look like. Here's some probing questions you can ask. Here's how you can show that you're curious about what we're building. Here's how you can really share your passion, your interest, your love for what we're building. Like, that's okay. I mean, you as the job seeker get to decide your level of interest and input and effort to speak these people's love language, professional love language, okay? That's what it comes down to. If a company is expecting you to do all this research and know all about their quirks and whatevers, ask your recruiter, is this something I need to be ready for? Is this something I prepare for? How should I study up? How should I practice? What should I research? Make the recruiter tell you. I'll give you a real world example from Google. So I exclusively recruited managers when I was at Google, and we did not give interviewer names. And same conversation, I would tell my candidates, please don't bother. Changes all the time. I could tell you today who you're going to interview with. It's going to be different tomorrow. Just trust me on this. However, you better read this Project Oxygen article. I sent that to every one of my candidates. I always made sure that they studied up on that. That is basically research that Google did on the effectiveness of managers and things. I don't know, it's been a while since I've read it. But that was more of maybe a soft skill or kind of outside of, coding and the technical stuff that I wanted my candidates to lean in on. That's the prep that matters, in my opinion. It's, again, less about looking for those ways of driving confirmation bias, because I don't like that, and more about really understanding the data that the company is going to use to make that hiring decision. And what are some of the other cultural nuances? We talk about culture fit, which is another term that I absolutely loathe, but it exists, and we should be mindful of it. Microsoft was big on circles of impact. You have an immediate effect. You as an individual contributor are going to do a certain thing. You're going to have then the team effect. What is the impact you have on your team? What is the impact you have on your larger organization? So those are things we would talk about and help prepare people for when they were ready to come on site for an interview. So every company kind of has their thing, right? So that's what I want you to ask your recruiter. I am not going to put a hard line in the sand here. I'm not going to say you absolutely should research your interviewers. You absolutely should never. It's a waste of time. I don't know that. It depends on the company that you're interviewing with and the expectations of the interviewers. Hold that recruiter accountable for that information. Their job is to be your guide along the way and get you through this process, hopefully on the other side with an offer. Okay? All right, y'all. I hope that helps. Hope that gave you a little bit of peace. If you were worried, they only gave me a first name. I don't know how to research. That's because they don't want you to. Okay? That is by design. So, all right, y'all. Let me know down below. What do you think? Have you intensely researched interviewers before, and how did it work out for you? Did it make a difference? I'd love to hear about it. If it did, let me know down below. And we will see you next week.